Welcome to the Relatable Oklahoma Realtors podcast, the show that sets out to demystify the world of real estate. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, investor, or a realtor with years of experience, this is where real estate is discussed and explained. Join me now for our hosts, Stacy and Burl Stricker.
Hi.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to our podcast. This is Relatable Oklahoma Realtors. I'll get it right one day. Right? I'm Burl.
I think it's Relatable Oklahoma Realtors.
I started out wrong, but changed it.
I don't know. It could go either way.
You can search it either way. Relatable
We'll come
Oklahoma Realtors.
Yeah. I'm Stacy Stricker.
Hi, Stacy. What's going on?
I'm so excited. We have Kimberly and Gary in the house. They look thrilled.
How many times have we canceled on them?
We did not.
How many times
We just had a
have we canceled on
scheduling
them?
conflict between all of us.
Yeah.
It was mutual.
Yeah.
I know they're thrilled to be here. So thank you guys
Yeah,
for
thank you
coming.
guys.
So we're on Facebook.
I was chasing down calves that day.
It was tough. I can't remember what all went on that day. Then we had convention right after, so we decided to reschedule.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys being on. I'll tell you something that I watch your stuff as you post it on Facebook about the real estate. And I'm always even the picture recently of you guys rolling up water hoses and
Kelly,
but part of it is I think you don't see that a lot where realtors are out there working physically, cleaning up the house, doing those type of things. And for me, being new, I don't know, I find it kind of inspirational that it's man, we're working hard. And when people talk about how much we make, they don't realize the backside of what goes there, how many miles you drive there. Nothing in Western Oklahoma is close. So it feels like you're always driving. But anyway, I want to give you kudos to that because I think it's great.
Thank you.
I definitely think you have a reputation of being a hustler, which is a great reputation. So
Thank you.
good job.
And you know what that means? Some people might hear the word hustler and be like, oh, I don't know. They might think negatively about that term. But when I think about hustler, I think if she's helping me or working with me, then she's going to work hard to sell it.
Right.
You see, that's the way I think of hustling. I don't think of it in the negative term.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think that very capable of selling this.
Yeah. So, and really why I wanted to have both of you on. So I've said this story multiple times. We had, I don't think it was last year, maybe a year and a half ago at our house. Gosh, maybe it was 2 years ago. We had a summer gathering with, you guys remember this, where all the spouses came. And so at the time, if everyone doesn't know my story, I had not been married for over a decade until you came.
Oh, so sweet.
To enhance my life. So Kimberly's working with us. She's obviously married. Pretty much everyone's married except for me at the time. Shar had just started. And I remember Peyton looking over and saying to her, or to Jake, her husband, saying, Jake, how are you adjusting to Shar being a realtor? Mm-hmm. And then Gary, you let out a gasp about the phone calls or something. And I just stood there oh my gosh, I had no idea how this affected marriages because I've always been in it and it's just been me. So it really was a big eye opener to hear spouses talk about the other side of it because it really does affect you guys.
Was it hard to get used to, okay?
Yeah, just the phone calls and because everybody wants to see everything after 5 o'clock. Man.
Yeah, it's never an 8 to 5.
If they do, they're retired or, okay.
Right.
And it may be the same thing as, hey, can you show it to me before 5? Can you show it to my family after 5? And
yeah, you don't just show it one time.
No.
No.
So, yeah, and a lot of phone calls hit afterwards, but yeah, it was a different type of adjustment.
Yeah.
It's phone ring, hard to have a conversation for a while, but that's part of it.
And you guys have 4 boys who are extremely active.
Yeah.
In multiple sports. So it's not like you guys have a lot of downtime.
No.
And you have a busy full-time job.
Right.
Gary, what do you do?
I work for Mock Resources. It's just in the oil field.
Oil field, yeah.
And
is that
Neck City? There's a lot of people in the oil field.
Yeah.
So.
Are you doing a lot of out of town work too, or no?
Well, no. I take care of wells, so I stay in my same areas every day. But yeah, it's out of town. It's at Weatherford
Yeah.
between Weatherford and Eakleys where I go every
Yeah.
day. So yeah, I do a lot of driving myself.
A lot of driving.
Yeah.
Well, and usually when people think oil field, especially around here, they're thinking 3 a day, 3 weeks on, those kind of things. But
Yeah.
it's a little bit different, but still
Well, thank goodness he's
not
home.
right here.
Like gets to work here.
I don't know that you can do that. I don't know that y'all could do that if you had you gone 3 weeks out of the month and then, and doing both. That's a lot.
No. Well, I mean, and I know, and you learn pretty quickly too, like the spouses get sucked in to this industry.
Yes.
In a good way, right?
Yep.
Bro now has his license. When are you going to get your license, Gary?
I don't know. Maybe pretty quick if the price of gas doesn't go back up.
Let's work on that. But I'd like to hear like how that shift in your family went. And, and I always talk about when you first started, you also had another job part-time because it does take time to build up your business. And I said, and, when I make jokes, when are you going to quit that job? When are you going to quit that job? Which, by the way, I like your boss, your old boss. And I had done dealings with him. But I really was saying that because I just believed that you didn't need that job anymore because you were very successful at that time. And I knew you could just take it to the next level in real estate. And you really did.
Thank you.
For me, it was, and she'll verify this, that I had a set amount, like, okay, we're going to we have to have this much money set back before, because I didn't know how the real estate deal worked. You go in blind to it, knowing if you're going to sell a house, you're going to do this. So I was like, once we build up this amount of money, excess money in the account, then if you have some downtime, because I don't know, because I'm one of those, I'm like the for sure thing,
It's
I've always
scary.
got to pay every 2 weeks, and pay the bills. So that's the way I am. I pay my bills on time,
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, with 4 boys, it takes a lot. So
It does.
and that's one of the deal. That was my whole deal. When you get to that, she got to that point, can I quit? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, you're doing great at it. You're rolling.
And she said that you guys had a goal.
Yep.
Once you get to that amount that you guys felt comfortable as a family that she could go out. But I just, Kimberly was up till like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Actually, she still does that.
I would like a little background. I know you know the background a little bit more, but how long have you been in real estate, Kimberly?
4 years.
4 years. And you were with another office before this one, and then you came to this one.
Yeah.
So, and then you were starting at part-time, and then you went to full-time. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you start at part-time first? What made you get into real estate initially?
I've always sold stuff, and my aunt just kept saying, you need to sell real estate. You need to sell real estate. And I was like, I've already got a college degree. I'm doing this other, And so between my aunt and then I was doing a part-time job hourly, and the hourly job said, we're closing our doors. And so I had to make a decision at that time, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so there's that voice again. My mom says, your aunt says y'all need to do real estate, or you at least. And so I was like, okay. And so I told Kelly, I was like, all right, I made a decision. I'm going to do it. Do you want to do it too? She had interviewed before years back.
With Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
If those of you listening, Kelly is her twin sister, and Wayne's our previous broker that we bought the office
I have
from.
twin questions later. So.
Burl has twin daughters. Those of you listening. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was like, okay, let's do it. And so that's kind of, my aunt just kept saying, you need to sell bigger stuff. I see you working so hard over here doing this. You need to sell bigger things. And so finally.
And I do feel like you have to start out. Oh, she means like in your other businesses or in real estate?
Start selling real estate instead of direct sales.
Oh, yeah.
Is what it was. Is
so
what
you had done like jewelry before and makeup and
jewelry first, then makeup. I sold coffee, just kind of a little variety of things. So
yeah.
In some ways, I think that like selling, I think everybody, like when you're talking about somebody just graduating high school or maybe in college, that like learning to sell is a big deal. I think it's important.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I remember one of the books that I like the most, it's like the Rich Dad Poor Dad. And he talks about going to work at Xerox.
Yeah.
Not because he loves selling copy machines, but because like they had the best sales training program in the country at the time. So he goes and works for them. And it almost sounded miserable. but he's like, they taught him how to sell, which really helped him in every other area, you know, and that kind of changed my mind on selling. Cause in the past, I used to think of selling like used car salesman type people.
Yeah, we are definitely
like really
that.
get on your nerves, you know, because I was in healthcare and people constantly coming and trying to sell you stuff through healthcare.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, it just seemed like constant. It got to the point where I had to really check myself because I would want to almost be rude and be like, you know, absolutely no.
Yeah.
And I had to be careful with that. But it's because that's what I had in my head, that all salespeople were like, is just this, you know, like just won't let go, constantly driving you nuts.
Yeah.
But once you know, it was really before real estate, but once you get in real estate, you also see that, you know, there's some very good agents that's not so much they're talking, it's they're doing, you know what I mean? Completely different. But the sales aspect it's different than I thought.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
Yeah.
So what made you go back to is like full time, like this said?
Yeah. I mean, I did both so that I wasn't just jumping in with both feet. So I was able to find another part-time job after the one closed. So I did that first and started real estate at the same time, and then just did them both together until, like Stacy said, I mean, I was up till 2 and 3 a.m. and, you know, trying to do their stuff, trying to do my stuff. And I mean, one day it was like April 15th, midnight. I was just like, we have a team group, and I just got on there and I was like, look, guys, I was like, I can't keep doing this. It's just, it's too much. And, you know, it wasn't fair to them either because, you know, I was starting to not take care of everything as much as I needed to. And it was just a lot. So
they were busy.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people ask me this question. I know it's relative, like I'll put it this way. How long do you think it took you to, like, quote, make a living where you felt like, okay, like how many months, year, you know, Stacy said 2 years. That's what she told me.
Yeah.
I'm curious in your mind
3
how
for
long
me.
it took
for
you to quote, make and I know make a living is
like
relative
3
to who
years
you are.
for like a steady income.
I'm curious from
Like where I
your
can
point
live
of
off
view,
of that.
how long it took you to make that living. You felt like, okay, I'm making the living that I want and need or whatever.
It was probably 18 months-ish.
It seems like, because like I'm kind of dealing with that now. It's like, man, at the beginning, it seems very difficult. It's like you're doing all this work and, you know, you start to realize I have to have a close like frequently in order to get paid. I have to.
Yes.
You
you have to be showing so many per week to keep that going.
When you were thinking about that, like in the beginning, like how do you think that mentally you made it through that? Like what did you do? Like, did you set goals for yourself, or how did you make it through that for the beginning when you're struggling to really see that?
Kimberly learned at a fast pace. We would say that all the time.
That's why I'm asking this question.
Yeah,
she did. I don't know if you know, but they know everybody and or related to everybody.
That helps.
Yeah.
So it should have been faster, and it was. It wasn't the 3 years.
Yeah. Just it started out slow, like it does for everyone, and then, like she said, we, you know, most of our business is personal, and then, you know, now I've seen repeat clients multiple times, so that's always fun too. And then, you know, they refer their friends and family, and so it's just kind of grows from there. Besides just who you already know.
And Gary refers a lot. I love that. Where it's like, hey, Gary works with so and so and sent me that. You know, I mean, like, so Gary's like your biggest fan.
He reminds me.
He's wearing the merchandise, the merch. So that's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's like me now. I used to have all kinds of different hats. Now I've got United Country hat, United Country hat.
Yeah, you're not wearing any merch today. We all are. But you.
You are.
Mine's usually United Country or Merit.
Yeah.
Cole, kids go to school.
Yeah.
Support
Cole
your kids and your wife.
Yeah. Cole even wore his golf into his first high school golf tournament.
The boy, I love it when the kids support the team too.
And he had one of the boys say, "What's on your hat?" Yeah. And then Coach Stairs said, "Oh, that's your sponsor." And he was like,
I love that answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, these companies, local businesses will, sponsor either little league teams or the school teams. And sometimes you wonder as a business sponsor if you're actually even recognized sometimes. That I love it.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
they help pay for whatever you're wearing.
Yeah. That's true. How do you guys feel like the boys? Because I see the boys in here a lot, or I know that they end up going to showings. how do you feel like that they have acclimated to all? And I'm sure, Gary, you are like, we come into town and you're like, oh, Kimberly's like, we got to stop by a house real quick.
Yeah.
Like, so how does
On the way, I
everyone-
was like, we need to go put out a sign after this.
There you go.
And he was like,
And we schedule everything a lot now
Because you live outside of town too.
yeah. So, and like, we already have something scheduled for right after this. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's like, we got to go put a sign. I'm like, we can't. We have to be here. And she's
Yeah.
like, we got to do it. So,
Yeah. I always like would joke around like either my kids are going to hate real estate or they will love it when they get older because they've been around it
yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Gary, is
But
there
they're-
times you hate real estate?
I
times.
mean, yeah, like, I mean, it's hard to go do anything like, plan, hey, we're going to plan on this. And if you have some big client, and I tell her, you don't ever turn the people, you don't
Yeah.
turn them down. That's how you make a living.
Yeah.
That's your name stuff. If you're one that's they call you, hey, we want to see, it don't matter if it's 100,000, if it's 50,000, 200,
Yeah.
you want to see this house? I'll tell her every time, go show it.
I mean, and to have that support is nice.
And I never tell her no. And I'm like, hey, me and the boys do supper about every night. So we take turns. I mean, she's busy during the day.
No.
That's the busiest time is in the evening. And,
It is.
Mm-hmm.
but they're real good at it. They all got good work ethic and
They know the rewards
Yep.
at the end of the day. So,
I think you brought up a great point that like people would have missed maybe is that you talked about it doesn't matter if it's like a $50,000 deal or $100,000 deal. And I think that like to me, what I've noticed in this business is that's a good realtor who like does not sit there and say, well, this is not a $250,000 deal. So I'm not worried about it. I don't care about it. And I know that, Kimberly, you don't worry about those things. You don't think like that. But, and that was kind of a big shocker to me when I first got like Stacy was, I had like a $60,000 apartments or something, very low. And I thought, no, she's not going to care about it. But she actually did. And I know from watching your posts and stuff, you have, listings all across the board when it comes to price range and selling, and so I mean, people buying and you helping them buy. And so I think that's an important part that people don't recognize that you do, they say little or small, we do them all.
Well, we just talked about this in Alta Stay because we have, a newer realtor there, like, and you do start with those smaller ones, but, you're grateful for those. Like pretty much all of mine, I was telling her today were, all of those buyers were under 100,000 in the beginning. And man, and I still don't mind those because I'm excited, just as excited for them to buy that house as I am excited for the
it's almost like
buyer.
when you're talking about like a first time home buyer or you're talking about somebody who maybe has a smaller, lower value home.
Yeah.
They almost in some ways seem more appreciative in ways because like you help somebody buy their first home. It may not be that. It may be a small.
Or you have people that are older buying their first home that don't think that they could have ever bought a home. That's very rewarding.
Yeah.
It is a very rewarding job.
Yeah.
It is. Because you really are. Because you were like, how do you help people? I remember you asking me that. What do you mean I help people all the time?
Yeah.
You didn't think it was
I
very
believe it or
rewarding.
not, that was an area that I struggled with because, coming from healthcare, like I know how healthcare helps people, but then you start to see this and it's easy. And I think I'd like blown it off a little bit like, oh, you think you help people. But when you actually see it, that somebody's like, oh, man, I want to buy a home. Yeah, I want. Somebody's you could email Stacy to complain about that comment. No, but part of it, I started to realize that, man, you see, it's like, man, I've never bought a home before. Or I'm like, in my case, like I couldn't get rid of these things that I was part of like an investment that I just couldn't get rid of that was falling apart. Like you helping me take a big load off my plate, that stuff
Some
that you
are
don't
very
realize.
Stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was stressful for me. Those were big. And then, like my mom's house, she had passed away and I needed to sell it. And those things you don't think about. It's like you're talking about life changing when you're talking about buying, selling a property, you know, it's a big deal. You do help people.
It is.
Good job. You help people.
I'm glad you agree. Thanks for agreeing.
Now he knows you're credible.
The camera's
now.
on y'all so that people can't see my face right now. Yeah. That's funny. And I see, like, so you are very supportive, Gary, and then your parents are always jumping in and helping.
Yeah.
I love it. Parents get sucked in. My parents have done that too. Like when they're in town, I remember I had this house listed and the neighbor was crazy. FYI, he still lives here, but I won't give the address. He, the day of closing, cut down the fence because he hated the guy that sold the house so much. Cut it down. My dad and I are over there screwing it up the day of closing. All I could think of was, please don't let him take this fence down again.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. Isn't that terrible?
Yes.
And thank goodness my parents were in town to help me
Oh.
put the fence back up.
All right. So, Kimberly, I have some questions about number one, just a quick 1 or 2 advice to people selling a home that you, from your point of view, like if you had to give like quick advice about this is what you should do or not do. What do you got?
Price, presentation, promotion. Those are the 3 things.
Wow.
Oh, wow. We didn't even prep her.
That was like the 3 P's right there. Price, presentation,
tell
and
them,
what?
Promotion.
Tell them
Promotion,
your
I love
3
it.
P's.
See, I have 3 P. There's 7 P's.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh,
You got a long
he's
list.
loaded.
Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
That's so true. There you go.
I don't know. Some man boss way back in the day taught me that. So I haven't forgot
That's
it.
so true.
So good.
Yeah.
All right.
But we use a photographer that gives us a neat little checklist. And so that's always people's little Bible guide to getting ready. And the ones that follow that really well makes my job a whole lot easier, you know, because I give them that. I always give it to them ahead of time. And so they need to go through and do that. And then I always go through and check it before pictures. And I'm nearly always at pictures or I'll go beforehand.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. I think, and it really has taught me, like I've been to a few houses recently. In fact, I went to one today that I showed.
It was not our listing.
I don't even know if I should say
No,
this.
we're
I
not
gotta
going to
care.
say who's it
No,
was.
I'm definitely not going to say who it was. I wasn't going there. I was going to, it was
bad.
I'll say it this way. To me, it was a crack house. That's what I thought. But I'm thinking this is on the market. And I was kind of surprised because I haven't seen a lot because I've been to a lot
and we thought it maybe could be our next flip house.
Yes.
And I said, well, what do you
I'm
think? Because we were going to
surprised
go look
by
at it.
the houses that, are on the market.
Yeah.
And no, it's like, oh my goodness, has anybody even actually looked at this house? Because even if you had great pictures online, let's say some of the houses don't have good pictures online.
No.
That's a negative, obviously. But then I've been to a couple lately that the pictures online look really good, but you go there and we're talking about, it looked like World War III had come through there. And I'm like, whoa.
Well, and so today we were in Altus and I did a training based off your feedback on a couple of showings because, we all have expectations of when we list a house, like we're not going to list it until it's ready.
Yeah.
So, but you have shown some houses lately.
Yeah, I think one of them, again, not bad, but it wasn't ready. And, in other words, a drill sitting there, like you can tell they're painting.
Like they're mid-project.
But you think about it, it's like if we get that stuff out of the way, now we're not thinking about what did they just complete. You're thinking about, you're thinking about other stuff. But you get stuck on this pile on the floor, I think mentally.
Yeah.
That says, oh, okay, they just remodeled, which that may be a little confusing for some people who think, well, good, you saw they remodeled, but you don't want to focus on that. You want to focus on really the other things, I think. I don't know.
But, and it is, and I'm sure you agree, it's a fine line telling people, because I know that they take offense to it because it is their house.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And so it's a fine line.
Right,
but when I first met you, I had to tell you.
Yeah. And I mean, it didn't hurt my feelings because I really wanted somebody. I'm all about the professional helping. Yeah. So if you come to me and say, hey, this color is horrible, you need to pick up your junk over there, you're not going to hurt my feelings because I'm like, I want to hear that. Because I want to sell it. I want professional help.
And that's the goal. Is
now, if you say it's snarky or rude, and that's different than saying, hey, this house will sell better if you pick up your pile of clothes in the corner or whatever, and that I understand. So, and I'd rather you tell me that.
Some people get, really offended.
Yeah, I can see why.
And we'd even looked at the smaller houses, like doing the flipping, because my dad's a good carpenter. So, I mean, he could show me how to do it. But anyways, we could make a better house for resell it, make a little money on it, make it a better house for Elk City.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we looking at this one and she showed me some pictures and it had a hole in it. in the ceiling
Yeah.
where the raccoons were in there. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my.
I know what house you're talking about.
There's such a fine line in that because you want a deal if you're doing the flip thing.
Yeah.
And that's what she's like, what do you think about this one? I'm like, this one's a little more work than we have time for. Yeah. Not that we couldn't do it, but it's just like with, the 4 boys and she works a lot anyways, I'd be doing it myself.
Well, I'll tell you, our flip house took twice as long and cost probably almost twice as much.
Yeah, it really does.
What we anticipated.
Okay, so I mean, you kind of give advice for selling. What about buyers? Like, what advice would you give buyers?
First step is talk to a lender and get your pre-approval.
Yeah.
First step. So that's always, and then they'll walk you through everything. I usually go through it with people too and say, do you know what your credit score is? Have you had any work gaps, which means when you're not working, so I usually kind of prep them and go through it and kind of see, but that's always their first step. And
I think that's an offensive. I mean, people get offended by that.
They do.
I mean, I've learned in this, like at first I was real intimidated to talk about that because I didn't want to offend them. Like, them think, oh, you don't think I can afford to buy a house?
Yeah.
Whatever.
You don't want them to think you're
But
judging them.
you realize real quick that if you skip over that step, then you're going to have to go back and it's going to extend this thing way longer than you wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's just get that out of the way, the paperwork kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's find out that. Then we know multiple things, what you can afford, your price range. We know.
But your time is valuable as well.
Right.
So you
It goes
have
both
to
sides.
address that.
It's for both.
And the seller's time is valuable. Like showing the houses.
Yeah. So, when they're sometimes just adamant, I need to see this house. I want to see this house, and I'm like, if it's not occupied, I might, but otherwise I'm like, I have to explain it to them because they really don't even think about it. They think people are not even living in these houses, I guess, and I'm like, no, it's like there's a listing agent involved. There's a homeowner involved. And I said, we can't just do that with not knowing,
Yeah.
most of the
That
time.
was number one. Lender. What's the second? You have a second for buyers?
We go through once they get their pre-approval, which properties we can look at and
work with one realtor only.
Oh yeah. That's actually step one.
Are you working
I
with
do. I
anybody
explain. I was like, I can help you with anything. Yeah. I first ask, are you working with anyone else? Have they showed you anything? Have you just started looking? That's my first question right out of the box. I'm like,
it's really beneficial. It sounds like it's just beneficial for the agent, but it's beneficial for both by far.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because if you're hopping around to whoever's on the sign or whatever, then you're not going to get really a true advocate helping you in your situation and all that. Instead, everybody starts to realize that you're not really committed to them, so you're not going to get the help and guidance. I think it's a big thing.
And I explained that to one lady. I mean, I figured out what she was doing, and she told me what she was doing. She's like, I'm calling the listing agents, and I said, okay. I said, I'm not trying to get you to choose me, but I'm just trying to give you advice to choose one. So you need to choose one, because she finally called me back a day or two later and she goes, you were right. She's like, I didn't know what I'd scheduled with who, when, and she double booked some of them, and she was like, you were right. And I was like,
there's multiple reasons for
that. Gary, do you have advice for spouses if they say their wife's going to get into the industry? What would you say to them?
There'll be a lot of days that they're busy at night. I mean, they're going to take a lot of the afternoon time away from you. That's one of the big things that if you don't have that time, it's going to be tough, I would think. But it was all right for us. She was looking for something different and she's good at it. She likes it. So that's a plus.
And really it's, an industry that you can go to see the kids' sporting events. Like, you're not missing out really on family time. You just have to adjust it.
Yeah. That's what helps, because she gets to go to the stuff during the day, because
the golf
it's mainly
tournaments.
phone calls, handling stuff, and she can go to the golf, which I don't get to go to. So
because if I had a stuck job too,
I do stuff at night. She does stuff.
It works out good. Yeah,
and then we plan our vacations. I'm like, now vacations are more important. They was important before, but not like. We always did every single thing together before she started.
I like that. So guys, now you guys really appreciate your family vacations.
Yes.
So when you go on vacation, can you turn off your phone? Can you say, Kelly, take my leads? Because I told your sister last summer, I was like, you forward your phone. I don't care what you do. If you forward it to your sister or you forward it to me, you need a break because you don't want to burn out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We
you
do.
Feel like you can do that.
We do with advertising calls. We definitely do that. And then don't.
Yeah.
She still takes it. But like I said, I'm used to it. It's just.
Yeah.
I do better. Like if it's, if I am busy, I'll say, hit the can I call you later, or I'll text, depending on if it's a current client or a new one,
Right.
And,
and I know
and try
it's hard.
to set boundaries a little bit. But
yeah, it is hard because you don't really go on a true vacation.
I think it's one of my pet peeves is calling. This is before I got into real estate, but one of my pet peeves is calling them and then them not returning your call. That seemed to happen a lot when I was dealing with stuff like that. It really kind of led me to like a few agents doing that. And that led me to calling Stacy, but it's like a pet peeve. And now I've even seen it me calling another agent to ask questions, them not returning my calls. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm sitting here, maybe potential buyer, and you're not going to return my call.
We hear that a lot.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, be courteous, call back, something, do kind of what you say you're going to do. You know, that thing.
That's part of the hustle too.
It really is.
Just
I
pick up
mean,
your
I
phone.
think so. I think that we get, I don't know. Like you and I've talked before, I think and this is all professions, it's not just real estate, but I think you got to be very careful of being arrogant of like, oh, the market's really busy, so I don't have to do those things like call people back. I don't, and then when it slows down, now I want to call everybody back. I don't think a good agent's going to be doing that. I think a good agent's going to, they're busier. And so, yes, they may have to call back more.
It may take a little bit longer.
Yes, but which is normal human kind of stuff. But I think that you have to be real careful in any industry getting kind of arrogant. It's like, I don't, and that could also be back on what we're talking about with price. It's like, oh, I only take these kind of people or these kind of clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of my bits of advice is always answer the phone, unless,
I like it.
Unless you're on vacation, I guess. But
I have a twin question, if you don't mind. Can I ask you a twin question?
Yeah.
So, I have twin daughters and they're 22.
And they have twin boys.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forget that.
There's a lot of twins in their family.
Yes. So I'm thinking that one of my twins will have twins. That's what I'm thinking.
Really?
I mean, I just think it.
Oh, goodness.
But anyway, back to that. So one of them's getting married and they asked me to do like a little father speech
at the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it, right now on this, so then I don't let the cat out of the bag. But part of my deal is what I've noticed is that other people, not their father, mother, and immediate family, but that their individuality was not respected, like throughout school. Like I'll give you an example that like one of them might have been better at playing basketball than the other one, but the coach had a tendency to put them in together, like to play, and pull them out together because they didn't want to offend the other one and them not getting the equal playing time. Another example of this was that, they do the school that they went to, they do student of the month, like at elementary, whatever. And so neither one of them got student of the month, and come to find out later that, one of the teachers that we knew said something like that they were going to give one of them the student month, but they felt bad for the other one who didn't get student. And so what I've seen, and then like take it just one step further is like my sons, they like take the amount of time they drove a vehicle. Like even before they had their license, they would drive out on the property. They would do all this. So they had half the experience in driving because they would always share. Oh. You see what I'm saying? Instead of like
they didn't have
an individual, right? And they didn't have their own car
because they
until
shared.
College. Until at one point they said we were going different direction. And so like what I notice is that, I think that me as their father really understood their individuality, never had a problem telling them apart. That's another example. Whereas family members literally to this day cannot tell my girls apart.
Which I just want y'all to know that I can tell them apart.
And then you have friends and teachers that could not tell them apart, even though they saw them every day for however long. And so I would like your thoughts on individuality with twins.
With you and your boys. Yeah.
Have you seen any of that, or is it just me and what I
do? We do that? Do we do that at the office? Do you feel like we have to make it fair? I can kind of see that.
Well,
now that you
I
say
think
that,
just respecting, like, I wonder, like, I see how their individuality was not really, if one of them was more talented than the other, then in a certain area.
They definitely are very different.
Yeah, they are different.
Very.
They look a lot alike, but they are different.
Their personalities are very different.
Have you seen any of that?
Well, with my boys, they used to be in the same class the whole time, so that made it different where they were kind of more together.
Mm-hmm.
But then they split them up. Well, we chose to split them up one year, and then we put them back together the next year. And then in middle school, the school split them up, and they really didn't want them being together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I do feel like it probably helped them be more individual. And I feel like people confused them less, that way too. And they started getting different friends because they were in the class, in different classes with different ones and stuff like that. But I don't know, with me and Kelly, I mean, I don't know about, as far as in school, we just kind of did the same thing all the time and just knew that people couldn't tell us apart.
Yeah. And I haven't asked my girls these questions, so maybe they'd be like, no big deal.
And work-wise, you guys make a great team too. Because if one's gone, the other steps up to help out.
Yeah. And we waited tables together in college, and people confused us then. And so, I mean,
they still confuse y'all.
Yeah. They still all the time.
And I think I have said this before. I think it's funny because, like, if they call you Kelly, you correct them. But if they call Kelly Kimberly, she doesn't say anything. She just smiles. She just smiles and goes with it.
I was talking to, my daughter's future husband, and I told, he asked, can he marry her and all that stuff. And in that conversation, I said, don't ever get them confused. So hopefully you can tell them apart.
Yeah.
That's one person that should be able to tell apart. Of course he can.
Hey, have you watched the Netflix?
Is that Echo?
Echo.
Have
you watched? You need to watch it.
Yeah, it's about twins.
Oh, really?
Like would trade.
With drama and thriller, and it's good stuff.
It's like a limited series. You need to watch it.
All right, so we're doing overrated, underrated. Do you have any, or is it me again?
I didn't prepare.
All right, so we play a game. It's called overrated, underrated, or just right. Okay, and we'd like for y'all to participate. Again, Stacy rarely plans, so here we go.
Okay, what's your 3 questions?
I would like to know. Oh, here's a good one, I think.
Okay.
How about there's another term for it, but the best way I can think of it. What do you think about balloon payments? Okay. So this is overrated, underrated, or just right. Balloon payments, which if people don't know what that means, it means that you make a lower payment at the beginning for a short amount of time, usually maybe 6 to 10 years, and then you pay off the balance either by refinancing or
pay it off.
You sell it and you pay it off. Something to that.
I think it's just right. I don't think a lot of people are familiar with them.
Yeah.
But I've seen self-employed people do them,
Yeah.
You do need to be well educated on them so you don't get yourself in a bind.
Yeah.
Because you had one that you just closed on not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they really understood it.
Yeah.
And
that kind of was scary because we're at the closing table.
Made me nervous.
And they were trying to, I felt like it's not the closing company agent. Well, I feel like it's not their job to explain that.
And it's not.
I feel like it's the bank's job to explain what that means because what scared me is we're sitting at the closing table and they're trying to describe to the buyer what this means. And I'm thinking they were doing a decent job for somebody who
didn't really,
it's not their responsibility.
Yeah. And that was with a lender that, it was a local lender. And so they're not one that would communicate that with us either. It was just kind of a different deal where we could say.
So what did you say? Overrated or underrated?
I think they're just right. It fits for certain people. Okay. I've seen it work for some. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. Probably most people don't use them, don't know.
But they need to really understand it.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yeah, I think it's the banker's job to.
Yeah.
This is what
educate them.
Yep, you need to be educated, like you said before. You're at the closing. Yeah. I think it's right if you understand it.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one I will try to be. How about? I've been thinking about this lately. I don't even know if this is a thing.
You better hurry up. We've
bell
got
bottoms.
5 minutes. Like big bell bottoms,
like
70s, or just
70s.
A flare? Are you looking at my jeans? I don't know bell bottoms.
I would like to know about bell bottoms.
I don't know. Some of them are just ridiculous. And I see them on the high school girls.
Yeah.
And my kids are this age. It just depends. I'm gonna say overrated.
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 What do you think?
Yeah.
Gary's like,
Overrated.
I don't care.
I know. I saw a mom wearing them at a track meet the other day. It was kind of funny.
I mean, they
But
look.
it was-
Some of them look ridiculous. They're so big and they're hanging off on it, like
Yeah.
over their tennis shoes or whatever.
It's
They're
just
not
weird
wearing
how
them right.
It's weird how the things come back in
Yeah.
in style.
So
Mhm.
the good idea of this is you looked at my parents' annual. Everybody had them that were a foot wide.
Oh, wow. Big bell bottoms.
I do not
Yeah.
know
And I'm
dressing up my
And I'm
parents.
like, these won't ever come back in. And yeah,
Mhm.
they're here.
They are.
Don't ever say they won't ever come back. So will.
I tell this story. It's like, it's one of those that scarred me for life, but I'll never forget. I don't remember. Let's say I was 13, 14 years old and like, I don't know why I didn't have any clean jeans or something. And my dad he's like a cowboy and he goes into his closet and had these bell bottoms that he had never worn himself. This is what you're wearing to school today. And this was like, I'll never forget that. And then I changed at the bus stop. It was a dirty jeans because I was like, no,
Oh, no.
way.
That's terrible.
All right, last one. He made me forget what it was. I don't know. I can't think of
Okay.
it. We'll end it there.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys for being on.
Thanks
I
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
Yep.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having us.
See, it was pretty easy, right?
Wasn't as
Yeah.
bad. It was
Okay,
bad.
so if people want to reach out to
Yeah. We'd like
Kimberly.
how can they connect to you? Like if they want you to be their agent or
be their realtor,
be their
Yep.
realtor.
phone number is 580-374-2322. I'd love to help. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
just search Kimberly Carter or Gary Carter. Gary's our biggest fan.
Yep. All right. Thank
He'll
you
help
guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.
Bye.